goes right through Chambly.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hometown Cable. My name is Bob Venn, Calvin Castine with the camera. We're in Cooperville, New York, the calm waters of the great Chazy River. You see the bridge off on Route 9B, and this is the beginning of a special tape, special showing of the aftermath of the flood of November 8th, 9th, and 10th of 1996. We're going to be talking with some of the people who suffered damages and who want to say different things about the flood. And our very, very first stop is in Cooperville, New York, where a man by the name of Chudley Fozier graduated in 1950 with Dr. John Southwick. No?
A year later.
A year later? Oh, he was 49?
49.
Okay. Hi, Chudley. How are you?
Good.
You graduated in 50, and what happened to you after 1950? You went away.
Yeah, went in the Navy and for 4 years and worked 38 years at IBM.
In Essex Junction?
In Essex Junction in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Never knew he was that close. We hadn't found him. We looked for him back when we had our first reunion for Champlain Central back in 1990, then in 95. And Chudley, you've come back to the homestead. This is your White House behind. You were born here?
Born here.
Born here. And your mom and dad were who?
Ella and Ephraim Fozier.
Okay. Now, your brothers and sisters?
Yeah, they were all born here.
Your sisters' names?
Ina LaValle, Norma Coyle, Effie Milligan, and I had a brother named Amos that was killed in the Southwest Pacific. Brother named Irvin Fozier, and Abram Fozier.
Okay, now your first sister you named, I forgot her name. She's married to Moon LaValle. Everybody knows the pitcher and the baseball player.
The old Texaco Stars.
The old Texaco Stars, right. You moved back here when? After you retired?
Yep, in 1993.
Okay, you completely renovated the house.
Rebuilt the house to its original looks.
Okay, and it's got siding, right?
Yep.
You have siding on it now. Yep. And then you filled in a lot in the back here. Is that right, Chudley?
Did, yes, because the where this here was all filled was part of the Winston in Ross's Point. That jetty they have going out in front of the Weston House, that brick house in Ross's Point. All that dirt was taken right here and trucked for 25 cents a load to Ross's Point.
So that dirt had been here, then it was brought there, then you had to refill?
Refilled, yep.
Okay. Now, the reason we're here is because we heard that you had some problems during the flood there of the Saturday and Sunday in November. What happened here, Chudley?
Well, at 6 o'clock in the morning, when the water started to raise, we didn't think it was going to raise that much. The raft left. And then by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, my wife said, you better go out and check the backyard. The water was coming up, so we came down here to the river. And by the time we got to the river, the water was coming up so fast that it followed us right up to the house to about this point right here on this pagoda.
The water was this high, which is more than 4 feet higher than what it is right now. I'm looking at it downward here. I would say 4 feet at least. And then it went all the way up, you said, to just under your door handle?
Yeah, up underneath the door handle, and just about a foot from going over the Mason Road, where that field was all like a lake.
Okay. Get any much damage in the house?
Well, we had approximately probably 8 inches of water in the cellar, and with the neighbors that came over because they knew that there was going to be a problem here, we took everything out of the cellar, put it in the garage. And they brought over 2 pumps, and all night long they maintained the water level in the cellar to about 1.5 inches, which we didn't ruin the furnace, we didn't lose anything, no damage, no nothing, due to the neighbors that are right here, which is Norman LaRush and the Moores that live across the street.
Shan Moore and Brian, right? They were here helping you?
And their daughters and friends.
And their daughters, 3 daughters, and their friends.
And my son-in-laws came over from Vermont with 2 of my daughters, and they filled sandbags and brought over hay, which is still right there.
Along the side, right? Yes, that's been winter, right?
Yeah. And I'd like to thank those people very much for the work that they've done. It goes to show what kind of neighbors you have.
That's one of the reasons we're doing this. We don't know what we're going to be hitting. We're going to look at some of the bridge reconstruction, the culvert reconstruction, talk to those people that would like to talk to us. We don't know how long it's going to be. We're going to do that for the next 2 or 3 days if possible. And the first stop is Chudley. And we met Chudley, of course, first time when we were doing the Cooperville Church with Father Cote and Shan Moore and Eddie Bayshore, right, when we were there. And they came in and we recognized him from a long, long time ago. And Chud, how long did it take for the water to go back to normal, roughly normal?
6 o'clock the next morning it started to recede where we could start cleaning up the cellar and what have you. And those people that were here the night before, they spent at least 5 to 6 hours here, and they wouldn't leave until they knew that everything was all set good and there weren't going to be any problems.
Well, I'm going to tell those people that you see that picnic table is going to be a hot dogs and hamburgers here this summer, and you're all invited over, aren't they, Chudley?
And the building right here, if the water would have came up about another foot, that building right here, you can see the water marks, the water stains on it.
Just under the window?
He hasn't repaired all of his pipes yet that all froze last winter after the flood, that they didn't know that they went back. So all his piping and everything is lost in there, and the water came almost up underneath that window. So if it would have come up a little bit more, that camp would have went.
Yeah, just pulled right out.
Yeah.
Right. There was a raft that floated out with a couple of fellows, and was that near here?
That was just down on the other side of the railroad bridge.
Oh, this side? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Chudley, you've been here a long time. Your father before you. Did this anything like this ever happen before?
Nope.
That
never
you know
seen
of?
this happen
Never.
before. No.
Have you ever had water up here at all?
Well, we've had water that would come up here, but the water that we would get, it would stay to the highest the lake ever got, was probably about 102 feet, and we've never had this like this. This was probably about 3 to 4 feet over that.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, Chudley, thank you very much for opening up this program here about the aftermath of the Great Flood of November 1996. And we thank all those people who have been interested enough and who have secured a tape and have copied it from TV and saw it on TV and all the nice comments. It's the most spoken about show we have ever done. Of course, there were a lot of people involved in this. First only to Jim Misek. Jim Misek is a close second to the flood as far as conversations. Every time we get out, someone talks about one of those two, the flood or Jim Misek. Thanks very much, Chudley, and we'll be going on from here. We don't know where. Looking at these twin culverts, probably a 10-foot diameter, you probably don't know where you are. You've never been at this angle, but this is the beginning of the Lakeshore Road as it turns off Route 9B near Richard Lamb's house and the former Lucas home, just a little bit west of the Cooperville Bridge. And this was washed out. I believe there was only one culvert here before. This amount of water, you wouldn't think they need doubles. This is the infamous Corbeau Creek, which you'd hardly know was here when you crossed over it, but it caused a lot of damage last November. It closed the Northway in both directions. It closed Route 9. It closed the Stetson Road, and it closed the Lakeshore Road. Everything all the way up to the ridge. As Calvin said, the only one that stayed was the new bridge, the new culvert area, just south of the La Valley Road, where the Corbeau Creek travels. But this one here, you can see that they've done a lot of work. They're still working at it, and we're in the middle of May. They've drawn a lot of fill here, and you know, there's not much support in one of those culverts as such. Of course, with the packing all around it, makes it very good. And I'd say that's 8 to 10 feet. It might be 8s. And they made a double this time, doing a good job. This is, as we learned last fall, it's the county or state? County. County, because of over 20 feet long or something to that effect. So this is a county job, and there's a lot of people here this morning doing work. And they're getting ready to pave now. I think everything's done except for the paving. They've banked everything. They've done some, I think this behind us here, I'm not sure this is fill or it just, it might be fill. There's an awful lot of rock here. It's been moved anyhow. It's one of the aftermath. This is one of this little creek, probably one of the smallest creeks in the area. When you think of the big rivers, the Little Chazy, the Great Chazy, Corbeau Creek starts way up near Altona someplace, I think. that I know of, and then just worms its way down. And there's a new culvert over there, too. They're working on Route 9B. You can see a new culvert under the road. Nothing was washed out there that we know of. And they're putting drainage ditches, drainage pipes on the other side of that road. And I see this morning they have an office, and there's a mailbox in the old Alphonse Bayshore store on the corner in Cooperville. And that's about it. We can't tell you much more. From here you see what's happening, and this is what we're going to be doing to show you that in some cases they're still working at it. And if you like this sort of thing where you got some ideas, you know, Calvin's always open to things that would interest the people, rather than just the board meetings, the school board meetings, which are always very interesting and new, but things like this that nobody covers in depth like Hometown Cable. We're now focusing on a landmark I recognize very well. We're right in the beginning of the Stetson Road, where it goes off 9B, and this road was on and off, as Calvin said. It was open, it was closed. Apparently there was no structural damage underneath at all. They thought there might be, but on the top, on the approaches to the bridge on either side, it was 1 or 2 feet of the tarmac had broken, and they were very concerned that something might have happened. The road, the water here was on top of Route 9B, and I don't know if traffic was going through or not. Do you know, Calvin?
Okay, the sound's going to be a little different for the next minute or so. We had some mic problems. Yeah, the traffic here, Bob, was going through, but it was eventually shut off. The water was, I would guess, about 2 feet deep, judging from the way I was looking at the pictures, some of the footage that we've got. We have a nice shot of a car trying to make its way through, heading west, and then backing up and coming back to this intersection. So I'd say it's 1.5 to 2 feet through here, deep through here, and eventually the road was closed.
Could very easily have got water on Grimshaw's floor then, you know. He's only about a foot off the road over the other side, and a lot of things over there. This road, as anybody who's not too familiar here, where that vehicle is now, goes back to Champlain, sometimes called the Rapids Road, and goes down and then comes out over on Route 9 near 8 Ball, you know, and so forth.
Yeah, McRae Road.
McRae Road, down that way, and 9B running east and west here, and apparently no structural damage that we can see. An awful lot of rocks. I don't remember seeing all those rocks before, but I don't think too many of those came down, Calvin. Again, you can see the telltale, all the things floating on top of the water. Corbo Creek meeting. One of the last persons we saw on our previous tape in November was one of the first people we'll speak with here, and that's our Superintendent of Public Works in the village of Champlain, Bob Sullivan. Village of Champlain, it said Bob Sullivan there. He said Bob.
This is Bob.
That is Bob. We're following up on the flood, the water damage and everything. And did we have much structural damage in the village of Champlain?
A few houses had some, but most of the houses were very fortunate. We had one trailer just pushed aside and pushed off its moorings.
Yes, the one on off Church Street.
Right. And there were some other houses that suffered some structural damage. Most of ours was from inundation, just flooded.
Yeah.
Yeah. It lasted quite a while.
Okay, these were individuals.
These were all mostly individual
But
homes.
did the village as a government suffer any losses? Like, Altona had bridges out, they had buildings of their own and so forth?
Well, we lost some sidewalks. We lost a chunk of sewer line down here on Pine Street. We had the sewer plant was inundated, and we made pretty much the right moves to prevent a lot more damage from happening.
As it was happening?
Some as it was happening and some afterwards.
Okay.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
we were able to bake out most of the electrical stuff and stop it from being burnt up. We took the pumps out of the plant and sent them out immediately for servicing rather than try to do anything with them, because they would have it would have just been additional dollars thrown away for nothing. We were very fortunate in a lot of ways. You know, there was a lot of individuals though down on River Street and Main Street, Cedar Street, that suffered a lot of damage, a lot of personal loss. The village and the village fathers were good enough to permit us to take our trucks, and we brought the rubbish down to the landfill down in trying to think of where that is now. It's down Plattsburgh anyway.
Yeah.
Down Scholar Falls,
yeah.
yes.
At
We
no
took
charge.
o- at no charge.
And this, I think, was a great assist. I know we lost 4,000 to 5,000 books that Wayne and I had stored in various places, and that'd be a lot of money to throw that stuff away, in addition to the loss of the books and the other things, records and cassettes. But we just put them out there, and you people picked them up.
We picked them up. And we made probably 60 or so trips.
I think that was a great move, and I'd like to thank the village board publicly. I'm sure they voted for this, and your crew, because they spent a lot of hours doing
Yes.
this, and they had it for a week to 10 days, or maybe even up to 2 weeks. You were doing it, and
we were doing it for all of 2
long,
weeks.
and
Yes.
got a chance to pick up everything and throw it out, and they were putting it in the pile behind the barber shop here in town, and it just made it made you smile a little bit when you didn't have to pay for it, but a second time.
Well, it was adding insult to injury.
Right. But we were fortunate not to have any structural damage as a community.
Right.
Government-wise.
As a government, yeah, we didn't.
Mhm.
We lost like the fence down at the park and stuff like that, and we've made application to FEMA to try to get some dollars to fix this.
Now, a lot of basements were pumped out during this time. That was done by the fire department or by the
Done
village?
by the fire department.
Fire department.
We're forbidden by law to do certain things. The fire department can do that. We cannot. We're not supposed to.
Okay. You've replaced the sidewalk parts that were damaged?
There's two places in particular that we haven't done yet. We're not doing them because they're going to be part of the rebuild, one of Church Street, and we have the sewer work that's going to go across on Main Street.
Okay.
And I'm not going to rush to repair something and have it torn up again.
All right. Now, this isn't strictly flood, but the construction on Church Street, the flood waters, the sewer, and on River Street have nothing to do with the flood as such. It would have
no.
been there without the flood. So
That's correct. It was planned long before.
All right. Anything else, Bob, you want to tell us?
No,
I'd like
to. I didn't do it before, but I'd like to thank the two men that came into the wastewater plant after me when I was so stupidly thought I was going to.
What were you doing in there?
Well, I was trying to save the pumps.
I
didn't accomplish.
How did they get in there and get out with you? I think
there were three good-sized guys in a 12-foot rowboat. It was a pretty scary.
I bet it was scary. You betcha. You start floating down there, and I'll tell you, you'd have gone down very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
We would have been.
Okay, well, when you see...
You guys have names?
Yes, those guys, Gerald Coulombe and Rennie Poirier, came in after me, and I appreciated that.
What was the name of the boat?
Gray boat.
All right. Well, Bob, thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll be talking with some of the other people as we go who had more community damage, and not individual, but for the bridges washed out, a dam that belonged to the community as such. We were very fortunate with as much water as we had not to have more structural damage.
Well, it lost its velocity.
Okay.
The water lost its velocity as it got here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we level out with the lake.
Okay.
And that's a function of speed.
When you see Bob, it's the man, Bob Sullivan. He's our department. How long you been here now?
5 years.
Get out. 5 years? It's 5 years already? You found a home here.
Yes,
Huh?
I have. I hope they'll keep me.
Okay. Bob Sullivan. And thank you very much, Bob, and thank you for watching Hometown Cable. We're going to be moving around. We have no particular agenda. We're doing it in bits and pieces as time permits. Calvin's got 2 other items to go to this afternoon and this evening, so we'll be doing some, maybe I don't do any more today, then we'll be doing some more tomorrow. This is a new cord on the mic. I hope the sound is coming through okay. We'll be talking. We've come down on, we're now on River Street. The noise in the background and the construction is the sewer and wastewater project that is going through here. And we're not going to be doing much with that other than just see that it's there. But we met a lady down here who had some damage. Your name?
Denise Baker?
Denise Baker. And your house is the white one.
Yes.
What happened during the flood for you?
I had 3.5 feet of water on first floor.
Wow, 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 wow. That's the first time you ever had water on the floor?
Yes.
How long have you been living here?
I've been on this street for approximately 34 years.
And you've never seen water on the floors before?
Only once, and we lived way on the end with my dad, Lumlapan.
Okay.
And we had water 4.5 feet down there.
Wow, wow.
But that was because of the big ice jam and everything else.
So it came up, this was Saturday night?
Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning she started rising.
Okay.
I left at 3 o'clock on Saturday, and it was still not even going in my door at all.
You didn't sleep that night, did you?
No, I didn't. I had to sleep at a friend's house.
Even then, you must have been worried about it all
Yes,
night
I
long.
was, yeah.
A lot of personal items that can't be replaced
Yes.
is the problem. How many were you in the house?
Just me, my boyfriend, and my little dog.
All right. Now, what happened after the flood? How soon did you get back in?
The water went down, started going down Sunday morning. I was back into my home Sunday afternoon, scrubbing and cleaning and shoveling mud.
That quick you were back?
Yeah.
Did you take a hose in there and spray inside?
No, I did not. I scrubbed with a rag with a mop pail on my hands and knees.
How long did that take you to get back?
To get back to normal was a good, almost a week scrubbing.
Did you get any, I'm not asking you how much, did you get any financial return?
Yes, we did.
Was it a loan or was it a grant?
No, it was a grant.
Grant, it should be on this street, it was tough.
Yes.
Now, along the way, they've been talking about buyouts. Have you heard any, what's the latest you've heard about the buyout, if any?
I haven't heard anything, but I rent.
Okay, so it wouldn't be your problem, all right.
No.
Okay, so you didn't go to the meeting they had about the buyout?
No, I did not.
So if not all damage, whatever you're going to get, you've had with,
Right.
with your grant.
Right, correct.
Okay, did you come out fairly well with that?
Yes, it was fairly well.
Okay, you can't replace the personal items.
No, you
the
cannot.
Pictures and the other things that you.
No, our camcorder, our
Okay.
VCR,
Yep, that's all.
all that stuff.
Well, that you can replace.
Yeah.
All right, as long as. All right. So you've been in this house how long?
I've been in this house almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years, November 29th.
Okay. What are they doing now? Is this sewer or is this wastewater? Do you know?
I'm not for sure. I believe it's
Okay.
sewer.
I think it used to come across over here,
Correct.
and now they're going back under the bridge somewhere. That's
Yes.
my understanding.
Yeah.
So you're going to have nearly as much dirt on your floor with all this work as you had before.
Yeah.
You got to keep your
On
windows.
your feet, yeah, we sure are.
Okay. And do you remember, was the water over here must have been 4 feet right here too, right? During the flood?
Yeah, it went right into this house here too.
Okay.
My nephew was living there at
Yep.
the time.
Okay, well across we can see part of the garage and the back porch of Mrs. Martha Castine. You can see how it's off its foundation in the back. Water was running through the garage and in through the porch, and lots of damage. She had up to 4.5 feet of water, we understand, in her living room. All picked up now, all nice and clean, and just a bad memory.
Yes, correct.
Thank you very much for talking to us, and we hope that never happens again.
I hope it doesn't
You're
either.
with us. Okay. Are you hoping for a buyout so that?
Well, I don't know. I just finally got my landlord to remodel inside my
Yeah.
house and my kitchen and that, and my house is getting back to normal, getting better anyway. And
But you've moved out of the house before, haven't you?
I
flood?
only left for 2 days because of the flood.
Before?
No, we stayed there. We stuck it out.
You always stuck it out.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for talking to Hometown Cable.
Thank you.
As we were mentioning, in Champlain, we didn't have the tear down the buildings, lose the bridge. It was mostly personal and business places that had the losses. And one of the person who was, I guess, 3 feet underwater and has come back strong is a very active business in Champlain called the Mechanics Inn. And we have Bob Armstrong, the proprietor. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning to you, Bob.
I hope I don't bring up old memories here, but November was very tough for you. Can you remember what was happening as just after the flood was over?
Oh yeah, just after the flood was over, that was on a Sunday morning. When the water finally receded and went out of our building here, it was on a Sunday morning. And we had approximately, like you say, about 36 inches of water in the building. And it was pretty much of a mess. Very discouraging when we first looked at it. You know?
I will just interrupt you here. It was brand new. You had just renovated the building from a long-time garage to the Mechanics Inn.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You weren't even finished doing what you wanted to do, were you?
No, I was kind of lucky in that way because I hadn't had all my dance floor down yet or nothing. If I'd have had, now we have a hardwood dance floor, and if I would have had that in, it would have definitely ruined that floor.
Okay,
so
let me get back to where you were now. Okay, it was a Sunday morning, 3 feet of water, and then you started to...
Well, we came down and actually we opened the doors at 5 o'clock in the morning and let the rest of the water out. There was still like 2 feet of water in here and kind of trapped, like, because it couldn't get out as fast as it came in. And we opened the doors and we let the water all out. And then we didn't have any electricity. So, thanks to several different people in the area that we had generators, and we had approximately 35 of my customers that showed up that day with offering to help, which I took their offer, because we had to literally clean everything right through the whole place, and we had like 3 or 4 wet vacs going, and the women was all cleaning. We had like 100 cases of beer floating around, all the bottles, and plus all the empties. I mean, they were all floating every different direction, and so it was pretty much of a mess. But thanks to the help that we had the place all cleaned and back in operation for 8 o'clock Sunday night.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
You mean within 12 hours?
That's right.
Or
yeah.
15
yeah.
hours.
Mm-hmm.
Bob, you've never done anything like this before where you had a devastation.
Right.
The first thing is to clean the floor, is it?
Yeah, that was the first thing. We thought of our carpeting because we had carpeting, and we thought that we were going to lose our carpeting. But there was only one section that actually came unglued. It wasn't a very big section either. So after we got it all cleaned and vacuumed and everything, of course we couldn't glue it back immediately, but within a few days we glued that section back, and we did save our carpeting too. So I was very fortunate. And then on the sidewalls, I had wainscoting all over on the sidewalls, and the wainscoting, I guess, because the water wasn't in here that long, never buckled on me. So I was very lucky in that respect there. In the bathrooms, too, I didn't have very much of a problem. The Marlite in the bathroom buckled a little bit, but nothing too serious. So I think I fared luckily, but I'm very happy and very satisfied for all the people that helped us.
Years ago, you must remember what they called the bee.
No, I don't.
You never heard of a bee? Bee was when you did something and all the people came, your neighbors. Well,
right.
You had an informal bee at this time.
Yeah. There was even some folks that brought in some soda and food and chips and things like that for the people that was here, because we actually had more people than what we could use in the place. And but I was very fortunate, and I thank those people very much for coming in and helping me. They were all our regular customers.
Were you able to save the beer, or did you have to dispose of that?
I lost some of the beer because of the fact we couldn't get the bottles. Of course, the beer inside, was good.
Sealed tight.
It was sealed tight, but you have, from the cardboard, I guess. I don't know, there was an odor on a lot of the bottles. And even we tried washing, and even after we washed them, the odor was still on the bottle. So we had to dump. I'm guessing 40 to 50 cases of beer we had to dump.
Okay.
And but still, I consider myself lucky that the building itself was left intact.
Not getting into personal, you don't want to give me amounts and so forth, but there was some help by the federal government coming in. Were you eligible for any of that help?
I didn't even apply for it.
You didn't even apply. Otherwise, you had to make loans. I think.
My main objective was to get back in business because that's my living. And We, like I say, at 8 o'clock at night, we were ready to start, but we just sat at the bar and we had a few drinks and then we closed up at 8
Yes.
that night. Ordinarily, we go until 2 in the morning, but
Must have-
everybody was tired.
It must have taken weeks to get that carpet dry.
No, not really. We had, I put 8 fans in here besides the ceiling fans, and I left the temperature was almost 100 degrees. It was very hard to work in here because of the heat, but that's the only thing that'll dry that carpeting is heat and movement of the air. So we had all the fans. And,
Did you find any hidden damage later that you didn't realize was there?
I had a, well, this was quite a while afterwards. I had a little leak under one of my sinks, and I got under there to fix it, and there was a full bottle of Jenny Light sitting up in the corner of the sink. I couldn't figure out how it got there. Then it come to me. I said, had to be sitting there from the flood.
Yep.
It wasn't an empty one, it was a full one. So, no, after we went through the place once, that pretty much did it. I mean, we did everything, and we cleaned and so on, and it pretty much did it, you know.
Well, and then outside damage, nothing that could
No,
be
I had
fixed
just
up?
put siding on, and on the outside, half-log siding, and I hadn't had it stained yet. So when we come to stain it, we just hand sanded, you know, very lightly over all of it, and it came out real nice.
Okay. Bob, while we're here, anything else you want to tell me about the flood as such?
No, not really. It's
Okay.
just, you know, I feel sorry for a lot of the other people in the village that did lose a lot of stuff. There's several other businesses. I know Bob the barber had quite a bit of damage to his place. My son, MRA Computer, he lost several $1,000s and stuff. And so I think I was very lucky in not very much of a loss. I probably think the total amount dollar-wise, I lost all my bar stools. I had to replace all those. And maybe if I was to put a dollar figure on it, it would probably be in the vicinity of $3,000 maybe, and which is minimal for me. And that
You bought good customer relations with that 3,000 that you lost. You tried out that 35 people really cared.
Yeah.
Bob, this new section, was that added after the flood?
That was after the flood.
Okay,
yeah,
so
from
this
the
section
dance,
here.
from the dance floor down, this was all put in after the flood. There was
Okay.
no carpeting, there was no dance floor railing or anything like that here at that time.
Okay,
no,
well,
no.
Thank you
No,
very
I wasn't
much
here.
for your comments to us, and we're glad that you've come out of it quick, and how so quick, within 12 to 15 hours.
Yeah, with the amount of water that was in here, and when they came to take, we had about 20 people left in here at 9 o'clock that night, the night of the flood, and they came to take the people out, and people were sitting on the bar with their feet on the stools. It was quite a sight to see them get off in that cold water to get out the door. They had to get off and get into that cold water to get out the door, and so they took them by boat.
Now, you had several cars left in the yard for some time.
Yeah, there was 3 of the cars that was actually totaled. One of our own, we lost one of our own, and 2 of the customers, and fortunately they did have insurance.
Okay.
So that worked out all right for them too.
Right.
You know.
Talked with Bob Armstrong, Mechanics in Champlain, and he's come out of it well. A few memories. You lost pictures, you said.
Yes,
I
I lost, unless I can find, as you had mentioned earlier, some of the negatives. I did have pictures of lawn and garden equipment in here, and automotive and things like that I did in the past. And but unless I can find negatives, they're just gone. That's all. I lost those.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you.
And good luck. We were mentioning before, as we left the Mechanics Inn, business people and the residences in the village of Champlain got hurt worse than anybody. And one of the most devastating, I think, was right here at Champlain Auto Parts, and the owner is?
Bob Fredericks.
Bob Fredericks. And Bob really got a lot of water here. Tell us a little bit about Bob Fredericks. Where are you from, Bob, before you came here?
Shazy.
Shazy.
Lived in Shazy all my life.
Okay, and you, your wife is a Neverett, was Leo Neverett?
Yes, Leo's daughter.
And then we see Leo's car here. Of course, Leo drove our bootlegger's car that day. Let's not forget about that. All right, so tell us a little bit. How long have you had the auto parts?
9 years. 9 years this year.
This, of course, was always known as, Lewis's Hardware
Lewis's
for many,
Hardware,
many
sure.
years here, and you still use the back like he did. Which, so tell
Sure.
us about that Friday night and Saturday, whatever happened.
Saturday we were open like usual until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The water in the river was coming to the full bank, to the edge of the road, across Main Street. And by 8, 9 o'clock that night, it was in the road and rising fast. It was 54 inches of water in the road in Cedar Street, right here beside the
Right
store.
here, 54.
54 inches.
You've been here 9 years. Do you have a basement?
Yes.
You get water regularly
Get water.
in the basement.
You know, sump pump it out. You know, you might get a foot of water or so, but never any more than that.
No heating system here or anything like that?
Heating system is
Not
in the basement.
It
Yep.
was?
Yep.
Always has been?
Yep. Hot air heat, oil-fired hot
Okay.
air.
So you bought the building. You own the building. the
No,
whole...
I leased the building.
You leased
from
the...
Carl Smith.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I remember now. It is Carl. Now, so you have all this supplies of auto supply. You wholesale auto...
Retail auto supply. You know, I'd service garages and so on, businesses, farms.
You have delivery...
Delivery
all
every
right.
day.
So you have a lot of stock and a lot of different things.
At that point of the flood, I had 127,000 in inventory, plus the computers and all the miscellaneous hardware.
So did it reach high enough to take care of your computers?
Oh yeah, computers down. We've been operating by hand since then. I've been trying to work with the insurance companies with no avail. The
Yeah,
insurance.
you didn't have a fire insurance. I mean,
Flood.
insurance as
Nope.
such. Okay, so that night, 54 inches here, you had already left the building.
We left at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We've seen it come to the edge of the road before, so we weren't concerned about it. By the time everyone got connected and said the water's really coming up, it was too late.
And by the time you could get back, it would already started to recede.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't get in with
We
that
couldn't.
kind of water.
Sure.
So then what did you find when you came in, what, Saturday night or Sunday morning?
Sunday morning.
What did you find? Any water left? The water was
No,
all gone.
the water was about a foot of water in the road when I got here.
Mhm.
And we got down in here and opened the door, and there had been 37 inches of water in this building. I mean, the computer was down, everything was upside down in the front, everything was off the shelves. The basement hatch going to the basement in the front of the store was flipped upside down, and when the water started to go down, the stuff that was floating floated right down into the basement. 55-gallon drums of oil, I mean, brake rotors, you name it, filters,
Did the oil
oil.
got into the...
There was a lot of fuel oil. The oil that was in the drums was contained in the drums. That didn't come out. But the fuel oil from neighboring plus here, you know, all came upstairs.
You must have put in a long night from Saturday night until Sunday morning.
That was my birthday.
What a birthday present.
Good birthday
You got-
present.
Wow. So you had to throw out... No, you have metal things in the boxes. Can't you save that type of thing?
A lot of that stuff, the FEMA group that I contacted afterwards, and when I found out, I called my insurance agent, they said, no, you're not covered. They sent a letter stating that because you didn't have rising water flood insurance. And so I got in touch with FEMA and applied for assistance from them. And they sent a gentleman on a Saturday morning, 7:30 in the morning. He came here and he went through the itemized inventory that I had taken of damaged goods. And he said dispose of it because you couldn't sell it to anyone afterwards and guarantee that it was going to hold up like an original part. I mean, it was just too risky, you know, the way lawsuits and everything else works today. Actual inventory parts that were lost was about $56,000, $57,000.
Oh, my God.
The total loss altogether was $88,128.
Your loss.
Mine.
That's got to be the biggest.
Copiers, calculators, computers.
And nothing was covered.
Nothing, zero.
So you've got to start to build this up again now.
Oh, it's like starting from scratch.
Yes, because you can't just go in and replace $88,000
That's right.
worth
Sure.
of inventory.
Yep, makes it tough. It's hard going. Keep pecking away a little bit every day, and
Yeah. You know, we have said at the time when we did the tape before, we were very fortunate nobody got hurt. And you
Really?
didn't get hurt except
No.
it hurt your heart and,
Oh,
it
yeah,
hurt,
it did.
and it hurt your pocketbook and a lot of other things.
Sure.
No one damage. But I had not heard anybody that had that kind of a loss. So what have you done since? Slowly building your inventory back?
well, obviously, you know, when the cash flow is down, because when you lose your inventory, then your sales after that point are slow because you don't have the goods to sell. Everything's on an order basis. You know, it's
And-
to try to get built back.
The 88,000 wasn't necessarily all paid for at that time either.
No, still paying.
You're still paying. It wasn't just a matter of
Sure.
having it and
That's-
losing it.
that's
You're
right.
still
Still
paying,
paying on
and
it.
you don't have anything.
No.
That's doubly.
Sure it is. You're getting hit twice.
Yeah. So,
What else can you do?
well, we're not here to say we can do. I don't know. I don't
Sure.
know. You could get loans from FEMA and things, couldn't you?
No, they
because you were business.
FEMA, the grant is done because you're a business. You can't
Yeah.
get any grants, no free money or anything like that. I, in turn, applied for the SBA loan through FEMA, and I was declined the first time. You can appeal this, but was declined because they said that the base in this area right here for sales is so low because there's such a, there's multiple stores in the area in this same business right here, and more moving in. Big corporation.
And they're down in the floodplain, at least two of them here.
Two of us.
Now, when you had a thing like this, did the water tip that whole unit over as it rose?
Actually, those racks stayed up. I don't know how they stayed up, but they stayed up. It's just the stuff that was on the shelves all fell on the ground.
All fell, yeah.
I mean, I had two brand new engines that were sold to be delivered Monday morning, all shrink wrapped right in pallets, and it ruined both of those. I mean, that was one was $5,100 and the other one was $2,000. I mean, that stuff adds up quick.
What have you done since as far as changing the operations? You still putting it low? That's one of a lifetime, right? I don't know if there's ever been water on here before.
Yeah. Honestly, we're trying to stay off the floor as much as possible. There's a lot of times you can't, though.
Yeah. Well, let's take a short break, and we'll come right back. We're talking with Bob Fredericks, and I hate to say a sad story, but it is I would think one of the most devastated businesses and expense in the northern tier. It has to be. There are times I'm at a loss of words. I don't know the right things to say, except we hope that it comes back for you. I'm sure it will. You're a young man. You're a hard worker, but you never can make up what you lost, but you can get back, and you'll continue to eat, and you will do that. And if you need some auto parts, a good place right here, Champlain Auto Parts. Come in and say, Bob, we're sorry about your damage, and this is a good place to shop right here. And he still smiles from time to time, and it's devastating.
It's the hometown cable.
Okay, we have moved into Manny's on Main Street, who had a lot of damage, and he's not here right now?
No.
All right, so but this lady is your name?
Debbie Levanture.
Debbie Levanture, and the last time I saw you working, you were not working here. You were next door in your...
Was at the diner.
At the diner. And what kind of damage did you have there?
Well, both here at the bar and over at the diner, we had pretty close to 2 feet. 2 feet of water in the building.
So, did it come in while you were open, or were you closed at the time that the damage started, the water started coming up?
No, we had closed that morning. The rains had started coming.
On Saturday?
And the water had started rising. And John Turner, who...
Yep. We're talking
actually
next door now.
Yeah,
okay.
owned the diner.
Okay.
He came down, and both he and Manny stayed with the buildings overnight, and pulled up as much as they could. But I mean, it got into cupboards. We had to reconstruct cupboards, and you had to wash every pot, every pan, every plate. It was just,
now with
unbelievable.
Where there's food, where there's food involved, you can't really open until you get permission from Board of Health and so forth?
Well, as a matter of fact, like in our storage room, our big chest freezer, it was full. We had just gotten like big orders in. Flipped it right over. I would not have believed it if I hadn't seen it.
That's right. That water, it's enough to float.
So we lost quite a bit of
It
food.
floats ships, which are very, very big, and it flips them right over. That's what happened. When they've got furniture, it comes up and it just tips all the chairs and everything else. So that was all destroyed. Everything had to be...
All our paper products, all our food. Yep. Luckily enough, we had bought brand new coolers and refrigerators, and they were sealed like tight. Okay. Nothing got into those.
And they didn't tip?
They didn't tip. No.
Okay, now, you started to clean up.
Why?
You did this yourself? Did you hire help?
No,
You did it yourself?
I did it myself.
And that's a lot of work, and it wasn't clean water. It wasn't clean water.
No.
Very discouraging.
Very discouraging. It was, I told Shan Moore, I was like, when I came in Sunday afternoon, of course the power was off, and it was very dark in the diner, but the chairs were all upside down, tipped every which way, covered with mud, but all the place settings were still set on the table for the morning.
Is that right? Yeah.
Such a strange
And you spend a better part of a week cleaning?
Oh, we were closed almost a month.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get done, it isn't a bit better than it was the night before the flood. You just returned it to its original, So did you, and of course you lost And you're not covered by insurance? You didn't have any insurance. People downtown here, if they can get it, should have some kind of... I know it's expensive, but this, of course, you don't usually get that kind of damage. Okay, so you opened again, and you continued. Now you're closed right now?
We're closed right now. I'm here helping Manny out. Manny's up in the wood lot, and hopefully we can get the diner going in a few weeks, we hope.
Okay. Now, Manny... Can you talk to Manny at all here?
I hope I can.
Okay. Manny, I came and talked to him personally, never got on TV. We were just doing something for my own records, and he was showing me where the water line was out there, and then my battery died, and I never had a chance to get further on.
I had marked the water line outside by the...
Yeah. Now, he had a lot of damage, but he was open within a few days, wasn't he? Did he have a lot of volunteer help, or did he go out and hire help?
That Sunday night, he had a crew in here, and we had a crew over there with the shop vacs and the wet vacs, and just getting up as much of the water off the floor as we could. And then it was just a matter of shampooing his, his rugs, because all of his, his bottles and things are up. They had time to get things up off the floor.
Okay, right. Now, did he have any structural damage that you know of? Any that would
Well, along the walls, even like in the diner, you have some bowing, got some tiles up,
right,
and that type of...
You didn't have to replace the rugs; they were able to shampoo them good enough, right?
Yeah.
Water didn't sit there too long. All right, so then you got back in business, and things about relatively normal the way they were before?
Pretty much so.
There's been some real heavy damage. People lost a lot of money. He may not have lost as much as some of the others. You lose business
nothing like the
for a
homes
few
on
days.
River Street.
No, and of course next door at the auto parts had a tremendous amount of damage. Tremendous amount of damage, and the residences too.
You know how it is with little car parts.
Well, yeah, you want to believe
right?
it. You want to believe it. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Debbie, thank you very much. Where did you learn to do this? I thought serving hamburgers and this is a lot different. Did you ever work in here before?
It's a learning experience.
It's a learning experience here.
Yes.
Is it easier to keep people happy in here with what you're serving than it is next door?
Oh, much easier to make them
Of course,
happy.
because they say
They're already on a roll. I know, that's awful.
Anybody recognizes Debbie, not only here, she was at our school for how long, St. Mary?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
And we took care of our children up there, and we were very sorry to see you leave up there. But
I still miss them.
You still miss them?
Yeah, they stop by a class will come down or something. It's like,
and your daughter?
Makes me get all teary.
I can't even think of your daughter's name.
Nicole.
What grade is she in?
Sophomore.
Gosh almighty, times have flown.
Yeah.
Times have flown. Debbie Levantia, very best to you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Your mom and dad are who? Were who?
Pat and John.
Pat and John Lefebvre. And of course, we talked with John Lefebvre, and we just, a memory here, talked about the Iwo Jima, and he was injured there, and we were talking, and he very shortly after that, you lost your dad, but we got some good memories, at least on tape.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Debbie.
You're more than welcome, always.
We're a little closer in Champlain than we are in some of the people we're going to talk to. I'm not going to kiss her on TV, but maybe after I'll say goodbye.
We'll
talk to you later. We're standing on the east side of Main Street, and you can see the debris here still along the fence line, where it tore some of the fence down. Across is River Street, where we were yesterday. The pipes is for the new sewer lines going back here. Across the street is the Champlain Auto Parts, straight ahead, with the white, brick front. Then the downtown diner, which we did not get in, but we talked to one of the owners, Debbie Levantia, and then Manny's Tavern. And just imagine, Manny told us about 4.5 feet. That would be up to where those light meters are. You're talking, that's 4.5 feet, which means that it was higher than the step over at Robin's Nest, and this water was here. And as it went around, Cedar Street kind of goes up at an angle, and on the far end where it hits Church Street, it probably was 1.5 to 2 feet deep there. We tried to talk with Robin's Nest, didn't find anybody available to talk with us. And we were back where DJs wasn't available, the L'Ambiance in the back street. And as you see up the hill, just a few feet, you're out of the water district because there's a hill. Champlain's got a hill in 4 directions here. And this was the spot right down here. The big drains there was no place for the water to go. It was coming from where it's supposed to go. down the street. The water was just under the windows on where you see the Masonic sign on that building, just below those windows. And then the next door, there was 2.5 feet of water. The last part of that brick building, where we had the bookstore, that was 27 to 29 inches. The next little building is Bob's Barbershop. We'll try to get to him later on. Then the laundromat and the video store got damaged. Everything he lost a lot of videotapes. The gray building way down, the steps on the front, as you remember when we were there last fall, were gone. They found them across the street in the backyard of another location. They got just taken right up and tossed away. While we were talking with Debbie, something she hadn't told us, they lost 2 cars in the backyard. One of theirs used for delivery. I don't know if she said an Omni, but it was covered completely covered over. Well, I've called this man Bob Armstrong a couple times when we weren't in his presence. It's Mike Armstrong, the son of Bob over at the Mechanics Inn. And Mike, good morning.
Hello.
And how long have you been, well, first of all, what do we call your business here?
Well, it's just my initials, MRA Computers.
Uh-huh.
Been self-employed almost 10 years. We opened this about 4 years ago. And then, of course, we had the challenging flood here about 5 months ago, so that changed things around a little.
Okay, just what do you have in your, what kind of business do you have? You repair?
Repair, we sell a lot.
Uh-huh.
We sell a few computers. Well, actually about 1 a day, 2
Uh-huh.
a day. We have all the CD-ROM games in here that we rent and sell. But mainly we like to think of ourselves as a service place.
Mm-hmm. So you do rent out also?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of rentals.
Uh-huh. And, all right, so you have a lot of stock.
Yep, quite a bit. I think throughout the shop, if you added everything, there's probably at least 100,000 just in games and miscellaneous.
You're talking dollars?
Yeah.
Good
Oh, yeah.
grief.
Adds up quick.
Sure does.
Yeah.
All right, now, tell us about November 8th, 9th, and 10th. On a Saturday morning, you had no water at all.
No, we thought it was a joke at first because there was a little water over on Main Street, and we went look at it, and we weren't worried at all. And then we noticed over between the bar and Cedar Street, water was just starting to come around the corner. So we thought, well, we'll get the stuff up off the floor. We might get an inch or 2 in here. And then within an hour of that, we had 3.5 feet of water in here. So but luckily we were here and we could keep putting stuff up. But then actually the water forced us out because it was so cold standing in it that finally we had to give up and leave.
When you say we, that was your wife and yourself?
Yep. And actually we had the kids up on a cabinet to the right over there, and by then there was no electricity in Champlain, and we had a 4- and a 6-year-old sitting on that cabinet. By then they were scared. It was dark. The water was up over our waist in here, and
That's the other thing. Remember, the power was off
there was
by this time.
there was no power, and by then we're right in the center of the village. The police had shut the village off, so we then started saying, "Hey, this is serious. Here we are in the middle of the village, no electricity. By now it's 6 o'clock at night, totally dark in here. We have 2 candles, and so it was quite an interesting night."
Now, were these desks here at the time?
They were. By the time we left, these desks were floating. And actually, these still have to be thrown away because it's probably the only thing we haven't replaced in here.
They have to be thrown away?
Yeah, they're all that press board, and they're falling apart.
Don't tell me that. I had 200 shelves, 150 shelves in the bookstore over there that I had bought Formica covered. I bought them down when the venues enclosed. Nice big 17-inch shelves, 4 feet long, all Formica covered, and they started to bulge. You know, they were in the water for some time in there too. Okay, Bob. So then, Bob, I'm calling you Bob again, Mike. Your dad's got his mind on me. You finally left here early Saturday evening?
Yep. We stayed upstairs with my father over at the bar. He's got a second story.
Right.
And there was about 20 people up there that were stranded. By then, nobody was coming in the village. Nobody could.
Where was your vehicle at this time?
Underwater.
It was.
Everybody's was underwater here. You couldn't even see the hoods. They were totally under. in the alleyway, we're actually on the highest point here in the village with only 3.5 feet of water in here, but as soon as you walked out the door, it was several feet deep. And we actually had to go get somebody from the bar to help carry my daughters over because by then the water was, well, just up to about here. And we had to, I was worried about dropping one kid.
Of course.
And that was a current. It wasn't a nice, slow water. It was current going right through the alley. There was railroad ties and fuel tanks floating around. And so we were worried then. So.
Of course. All right, so there came a time Sunday morning.
Yep, Sunday morning.
Your dad started at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, I got up with him. We were both up at 5. Of course, we were worried. But then we both started cleaning up right away. By noon.
There was no power yet, was there?
No power. Jennifer's mother came from Burlington with an electric generator, wet vacs. A lot of local people helped. More over at the bar. They wanted to get their bar open.
Yes.
But a lot of local people from up top of the hills came down and helped. It was very nice.
And remember, again, this was not just water. This was silt in the water. A lot of mud.
A lot of mud. The sewer system had backed up, so needless to say, there was lots of stuff floating around, which made it not the greatest cleanup conditions. And the village was nice. They came around and said, don't worry about the garbage. Heave it out. We'll take care of it. So that was very nice of them because we had piles of stuff everywhere outside. So,
all right. I know you're busy. You've got other places to go about, Mike. But how long did it take you to get things back where you thought they were normal enough to open again?
We worked about 20, 21 hours a day for 3 days, and then the 4th day we were open back. So it was,
sleep good the other 3 hours, did you?
Oh, geez, yeah. We had to sleep on top of a top bunk bed in the back room because everything, of course, below that had been soaking wet. The mattresses, the couches. So we all slept.
So you stayed right here?
Well, we had no choice. We had to keep cleaning.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had no car. The cars were all damaged down here. Nobody had vehicles afterwards.
When did the power come back on?
Late Sunday afternoon, I believe.
Okay.
It was. I think by the time we got the generators, it was about 3:30 Sunday afternoon.
Okay, so things have come back now. You're back on
everything's back to normal.
Back to normal now. It's a bad memory. You had losses, but I think you told me personally or immediately after that the losses you had, they were yours. They were paid for.
Yep. Everything in
over
here
the years was paid for, so you didn't owe in addition to have to replace.
Right. So we've been able to each week try to put some more stuff back on the shelves and.
Okay. Well, the computer business right here in Champlain, New York, all kinds of, and I think you've told me and others that you can match about any price in the county, anything they were looking for.
We try. We seem to be doing all right.
Well, good luck, Mike, and thank you very much for talking to us. Another story in this tough weekend in November 8th, 9th, and 10th in the Northern Tier. We're going to get more as we leave. If you ask men in town what's the most popular place, and we've been in a couple of the bars and around, but it's the barber shop. And our very own barber. And your name?
Bob.
Bob LaJemier.
Yeah.
And from Moore's.
From Moore's.
Right. And how long have you had the shop, Bob?
I've had this one 9 years.
Bought it from...
No, I built this one.
Oh, I'm sorry, here, but you were across the street. You acquired the business from Bert?
Yes.
Oh, Bert Fournier. All right, you've been a barber how long?
29 years.
The problem you had last November was something you never had before in 29 years.
No, don't want to take it again either.
What happened? Tell us about a little bit quickly. I know you've got to go, but where were you when the flood started on Saturday? Were you here?
I was here, yes. It was up to putting her up to the ramps in the back here.
But
I still didn't think it was going to come much further, but it kept coming. I guess it hit around 10 o'clock or so.
That night, yes. So you had gone home by then, and you came down Sunday.
Sunday morning, yeah.
What did you find when you opened the door?
The floor was just covered with mud, and of course everything was tipped over. The books were all over the floor, the chairs were all tipped over, and it was quite a mess. It was a lot of mud.
Was there any power when you first came? So you could get technically nothing yet, huh?
They turned on in the afternoon.
I know you had your chairs outside. I remember seeing them out there. Okay, now in addition to the visual, you had some structural damage.
Yes.
In the sense that the slope.
The slope and the floor, yes.
And I guess it undercut the south side here, or the
Yes.
east side, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
And we were thinking one day maybe as much as 3 to 4 inches?
Yeah, I would say at least that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Then I lost all the insulation underneath. That's all down.
Can you do anything about that now, Bob?
They're going to try to put it back up for me. I don't know if they can or not.
Uh-huh. Then you see some of the tiles, they cracked. This was relatively new, like you say, 9 years. Doesn't seem 9 years. And not only does he have to worry about one building, next door you also had damage in your own laundromat and the rental where the videos are.
Yeah.
What happened over there, Bob?
Basically, the machines got the worst of it. You know,
Motors in the water?
yeah. Igniters and motors, and of course some of the wall had some watermarks because I painted that so it doesn't show anymore. But
Uh-huh. Did you have to do much with the machines to get them going again?
quite a bit. I had to put 3 new motors in and a couple of igniters.
You didn't get that done from perfect strangers either, did you?
No,
Huh?
no.
There's a guy by the name of who?
Kevin Strack did it.
Kevin Strack, who is your brother-in-law. Is that right? Brother-in-law, yes. Married Bob's sister, and he runs the video store, and so you got some help there from him.
Yeah, that'll help, I'll tell
I
you.
bet you. So everything's back now on a, I shouldn't say even keel because it's not even in here, but things working again. No structural damage next door
No.
that you know of, right? So your biggest damage you can't see is right here. You
Yeah.
mean this? You can't
So-
get to it, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's the first time in many, many years, Bob, and you had to be here when it happened, huh? What's happening in the back now? Is that going to affect you at all? Are they putting up a barrier? What are they doing back your backyard?
Putting a pumping station for the sewer, I believe.
Okay.
I believe that's what they call it.
All right. Well, that's about all we can get, I guess. It's a popular space. Yeah, okay, here. This is where the water was, right here, right? This is your water line. And if you look up here, it's not as high, see? Because that's where the building went down. You see here, we measured that. You can see the distance here. See how that's about 2 inches more than the paper? And look over here. See? It's nearly 3 times as much above the paper because of the settling. And that's it from downtown Champlain. We've been talking with Bob Legemier, and he's got a little break. He's not cutting his hair. And I've been coming here, and I don't know what he's doing because I told him not to remove any more off the top, but you seem to be taking some off the top.
No, I'm not.
You're not, huh?
I'm just losing it, Bob.
Yeah, and of course he's been dyeing my hair for years too.
You like that
Looks
white?
natural, right?
That white, yeah.
Yeah, it looks very good. Thank you very much for watching Hometown Cable. We're looking at the curve, pretty a 90-degree curve here of the Great Chazy River as it approaches the Main Street Bridge in the village of Champlain, right next to the laundry and the small market. And we're standing at the end of Cedar Street that comes down to the river where a lot of damage. This is where the water came up and went up onto Cedar Street, went up this hill, and then continued down. As Mike was telling us, the water was coming from the other end of Cedar Street and from this way and kind of met near the MRA computers and the Mechanics Inn. We're right behind the former Methodist church, now 8 apartments. And this is a new mobile home that's been moved in. The Heberts own here. They had a mobile home here before. They've raised it a couple, 3 feet, I think, from where it was, maybe even more. There was a mobile home here, and I forget now which direction it was, but it was turned about 90 degrees when the water came up and spun it around. The porch, if you remember the pictures we took, were all off to the back side, and they wanted to do something more than this, and I understand the village wouldn't let them, but they did let them bring a large mobile home in, and it's just getting there now. You can see where they put rocks here and they've built it up. This is always a place when the water starts coming. You get right here. If you remember also, the water was, we saw a piece of lumber or a small log that was on top of that bottom rail of the bridge. It was stuck up there. I mean, the water got up that high on a steady basis, racing through here last November. It overran here, and the barn next door is where I have rented some things in it. There was probably 6 inches of water there. Mr. Berrier owns the White House where the car was up in the air on a elevated. We took pictures of, and the sidewalk was gone, and the water was going in one side of his basement and out the other. And that was the most damage along here, was right there. And then the water went down Cedar Street. As you go up Church Street, we had a lot of water in the basement at the church. Pumps were running. Again, this is a good time to thank and mention the fire department. The Champlain Fire Department, with the help of fire department from Rouse's Point, came here and pumped out dozens and dozens of home basements. And without them, we might still be pumping out water. They were here. They spent many, many hours. They were 24 to 36 hours without sleep, and we never can thank them enough. This is not their normal job, but they do it. As Bob told us yesterday, the village can't do anything by law, but the fire department, who are a unit unto themselves, can do that, and we thank you, gentlemen, for that. And don't forget, when there's a breakfast, when they come around with their calendars and so forth, fire department, not only here, but all the way along the northern tier, and Shazy and the rest of them deserve your support. I don't know much. We tried to check with the Heberts inside. Nobody came to the door, so we'll be closing off here and moving on to another location. We assume that in behind the laundry there was water over there, because they're a little bit higher than where we're standing right now, but there had to be all flooded along that driveway around where the mobile homes are over there. Well, we've moved over to an area where we did a special story 2-3 years ago with Bill LaBelle and Ron Marquardt and his wife, and that's where we are, the old Frog Pond areas, I guess. What do you call it place now? It's not the Frog Pond there. Still call it the Frog Pond home?
There's a sign right up by the road there.
Okay.
It's on my checks too.
It is? Oh, good. It's a popular place.
On that old truck over there.
You've seen his face a lot lately if you watch Hometown Cable, because you're on the school board. Were you appointed to that? That was an appointment?
I was appointed to fill out an unfinished term by a guy, I think his name is Stevline.
Okay, and then you'll be coming up for the next time they have a
Next time I'm coming up for a one-year election, a one-year term this time.
That's in June, the election?
Yeah.
Okay, now, tell us about what happened here, where you were with a river right around you here in the dam. What happened to you back November 8th, 9th, and 10th?
Well, the water came up to just above that small tree down there. It didn't,
okay. You can see the line in the I'm surprised it didn't come higher than that, right?
Well, so am I. I was surprised. And it did come over the other part, too.
Down below?
It came over the canal up here.
Uh-huh. But that, I was really surprised it wouldn't come up higher than that, because that's not much more than maybe 3 feet from where it is right now.
But if you go down there, you'll see a lot of damage.
Oh, there was a lot of damage?
It destroyed the character of the Frog Pond.
Oh, it did. Okay.
It did quite a bit of damage to my wall.
Uh-huh.
And you'll see a lot of stones piled up down there.
As I remember back there, there was a little sluiceway went around, huh? And it damaged that.
Well, yes. I'm not using it anymore.
Uh-huh.
This place hasn't raised frogs since 1954.
You got enough to do here without worrying about along the riverbank?
Yeah. I don't...
So it didn't really cause any damage to you as far as the buildings or...
It damaged right in back of that small garage. If you
over there?
Yeah. If you want to go down and take a picture of it.
Uh-huh.
There's a classic example of what water can do. It gouged out solid a bunch of stones down there and washed them down the bank.
All right. If you remember, you saw the other foundation you see is the foundation of the old storage and the slaughterhouse for the frogs here when they did and there was a 2-story building there. There was living quarters above, and then they had their coolers and so forth in that particularly that's been down for years. I'm trying to think of the man's name, and it escapes me.
Ernest Neuenfeld.
Ernest Neuenfeld. Nice setting back here. The leaves aren't out on the trees yet. I can use more shade than this normally, Ron. All right. Well, did the dam get any damage up here or anything like
No.
that?
Ironically, this dam, everybody was criticizing the DEC and the architectural firm that designed this dam because it was designed to deal with the computerized model of a 100-year storm, of the worst storm in 100 years. And ironically, within 6 months after they finished the dam, within a year after they finished the dam, they had the 100-year storm, and it didn't bother a bit.
Okay. Everything worked out well.
Everything worked out well.
Well,
That part was good. That was excellent.
okay.
And it helped me. It damaged that part down there, but I don't really use it anyway. It's just a matter of kind of physical appeal.
Uh-huh.
But it didn't touch the house.
Okay. Well, we came back down here, and you can see how it washed this out completely here, as much as 3 feet to 40 inches down there. Look at the sand, the gravel, stones that it left along here as it washed up. And you can see in the old beds here for the frogs that's filled in a lot that was brought up by the river, just dropped in here. And as he said, of course, there used to be a cover over the top of these. That's why that was situated like that. And right on down, damaged out there. History, gone. You know, we sometimes forget when we're going around and asking people to talk to us on cable that we just pop in and in 5 minutes we want them to say something and they just don't expect it. And, your first name?
Brian.
Brian Brink had a lot of problems last November, and we stopped here and he said, well, he wasn't ready to talk, but we changed shirts and we're ready to go, right?
That's it.
Okay. Brian, tell us a little bit about what happened to you and your land and your property last November.
Well, as you know, the water come across the road.
The river's right here.
I had about 48 inches of water in my storage building.
Right here. Oh, my.
They, as far as the trailer, we had just had to move it to put a cement slab, so we raised it. So I was lucky, it got just to the bottom of the floor joists. We had to replace all the insulation. The heating ducts were all cracked from water into it. We were just moving into it on Sunday. We were going to move into it on Sunday.
And the
we
flood
couldn't
was
Saturday. But I had brought some of our stuff in, like my living room set and our bedroom set was in there already. And we brought the freezer onto the back part of the slab. And the water started coming across the road, so my wife said to me, she said, just leave it, let's go. The freezer, my back porch and everything was over into the river over by Kurt Finesse.
The freezer?
The freezer, my big porch was
You're talking 700 to 800 feet away.
It went through the back field and ended up over the freezer, and the freezer was actually in the water. The only thing that saved it was the cord got around them little saplings. The porch, when it went to go up onto the Web Duval Road, it caught into the dirt, and that's where she stayed.
So you had water way back. You owned the field way back?
Yeah, all the way back to where you start seeing it, you know.
Okay, where the green stuff. So you owned, there was water all over there.
Yep. We had, when everything cleared up, I had people's garbage from Ellenberg. And knocked the pool down, I've got it standing back up for now. We had, you wouldn't believe.
You know that after a flood, any garbage that you have in your yard, you have a right to keep.
Yeah, well,
that's... You're 9/10 possession there.
Yeah,
now,
right.
I saw you, I think it was in Ames, you were talking to somebody, and I didn't know who you were by name, and they were mentioning you ought to go see his place, and I drove up that night. Now, your biggest problem was not just you tried to move it.
Yeah, well, we got flooded out in January.
Oh, that was another time.
Right. And
beg your pardon. That's when you really picked it up?
Yeah, and see, we got flooded out in January, so what happened was I had to raise it up, and I had to put a slab. We never had a slab.
Okay.
So I tried to move it with a bunch of friends. And what happened was it didn't work. So we'd had it on the front end of a loader, and the tongue broke, and it fell in the mud. So I'd have a crane come get it.
Crane lifted it up and put it
Set it over here, yep.
While that was January 19th. Oh, that was way back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't move until July 6th is when I moved it.
And that's when you were getting ready to go back in November.
Well, what happened was when I dropped it, we had the whole inside was just totaled. So we had to go through and remodel it. So after that, they had to come back and reset back up and set it back on the slab for me. And then I started, some friends and us, we just started putting everything
So
back
it
together.
didn't damage it inside?
Not from the flood, no.
Well, okay.
No.
Now, you mentioned 4 feet of water in your storage building. If you're like me with a storage buildings are full.
Yes, very
And
full.
you must have really had problems getting
well,
that.
it wasn't so much of everything that I had. It was everything from the houses in there.
Oh, God.
So I
yes,
opened up
yes.
the door. When I opened up the door, stuff just started, so I just closed the door. It was easier, you know.
Were your vehicles here?
I lost. Yeah. Well, no. I had a Cadillac that was right underwater. The little red car I bought for my sister for parts. It was sitting here, and one of the times it was done, it was over here. And my brother's other car was right there.
Brian, how long have you lived here?
7 years. 7 years.
Right. Have you had anything like this previous to this?
Not until January. Not until
January.
January.
First one was January.
Yeah.
Then you got it twice within a year.
Yep. And then we got it right afterwards. I had to have Norman Richards bring me over. Right up there, you'll see a little bit of sand.
Right.
Well, there's a culvert there. And what was it? Just in the spring, huh? What happened was that culvert from the flood washed out. Right in front of that tree, the culvert comes out, and the water was running right into there. So I had Norman drop me 2 buckets of sand to stop it there.
Okay, so it was coming over.
Yep, yep.
That's where you got a lot of your water.
See, I don't have very good drainage. See what happens when they put the house next door? They filled it right up.
Yeah, and it comes all
stopped
toward
my
you now?
drainage.
Yep.
So it's coming together. We still
What-
got a lot of, it'll be all summer. before
You're
I'm done.
learning.
Every day is an experience for me, trust me.
Well, listen, thank you very much for on the spur of the moment talking to
No
us
problem,
like that.
no
Give
problem.
you a chance to change your put on a colored shirt.
That's
huh?
it.
Listen, we're joking here with this. I don't mean to be
Oh,
joking
no.
about your problem, because it was.
To
You
be
were
honest-
lucky it was on the slab.
Exactly. To be honest, we got it bad, but we didn't get it as far as the house went.
Uh-huh.
We lost a lot of personal stuff,
Yes.
but we could have been like people on River
Pictures
Street.
and things like that. Did you?
Oh yes, they were all in. My daughter had a whole chest at
Mhm.
Jack Green that used to own Ginsberg's Furniture. I worked there. He gave it to my daughter.
Yes, yes.
And I never seen nothing come apart so quick in my life. We went to we opened up, tried to get it out, and it was just.
Yeah, well, water. You
Well, you know, like I said, anything that we lost, except for some of our pictures, like of my mom and
yeah,
dad and stuff,
yeah.
I can replace. But I wouldn't want to have been the people on River Street. I mean, every time you're
I
bad
know,
off,
I
but
know.
somebody else is,
I know
is
that.
worse.
I
than
know.
you.
We were there yesterday talking to some people.
It's just too bad.
They need a buyout for River Street, really, you know?
Yeah.
That's what they need. Thank you very much, Brian.
you.
And thanks to the lady who didn't talk to us either. I thought you had matching colored shirts on so you could come talk to us. Well, watch for it on TV. When we were talking to Brian Brinks, I omitted to tell you that we're in Perry's Mills. And what we're doing, we're riding along where there was probably flood damage, and although we're not knocking on doors and going to every house, if we see someone outside and they likely had a problem, we're trying to discuss, and we learn about other people from them. Now, as you look at this home here, in the beautiful home in the garage on this beautiful, well-kept land, it's an example of you can't tell a book by its cover. You look at a home, you think everything's happiness. Well, this is happiness, except during the flood time. We were told that this was one of the most damaged there is. Of course, they're on the water side, and that river must have flooded this whole area. And we're talking here about Jerry Connolly and his wife's first name? Veronica. And beautiful home. And her father is Ken Fineff, he's got the camp over it, and he probably had the same damage that they did. But we understand there was quite a bit of damage. You wouldn't know it by looking. Of course, a lot of things have improved in 7 months. But I'm sure the heartaches are still there. And we're sorry that no one's here to talk with us. We'd find out a little bit more. But we must say, this is one of the best, well-kept places we've seen on our trip today. Well-kept, and I don't know the damage behind, but this is it. The driveway, I see new crushed stones, but very likely had been washed out. New crushed, huh? It was washed out, yes. You see the crushed stones washed out here, and then over there, and a sand pile. And it doesn't take long. When water comes along, it just erodes something fierce. So we're going to move along. We're sorry we missed the Connollys, and we don't get a chance to get back. We're running to about 4 townships and trying to get this done in a couple, 3 days. It's slow moving. Calvin and I are having a discussion who likes to talk the most to people other than about flood, and he seems to think that I'm winning the prize, but Well, I do enjoy talking with people, and we enjoy your commenting to us about the programs we have on. We're always good to hear from you. We'll be back at a new and different location shortly. We're sitting on a location. We're standing on a location that hasn't been used for a while. We're looking west. We're standing on what is known as the old Fee Bridge that ran from the La Valley Road over to the Fee and the Letson Road that goes into Moores. And this fell down a few years ago, and they've never seen fit to put it back up. There's the stanchion in the middle. And when we were here last November, we were across the road where that was all washed out, if you remember. And we saw that mobile home that had been twisted all around. And they told us a car was buried there. And they were working. There were 4 or 5 trucks here. Well, they apparently have got it all fixed up. And they've got blacktop. It looks like there's some section there without blacktop, Calvin. The worst part. And, huh? They haven't put the blacktop yet. Okay, they didn't have time last fall, and they were interested in getting other places open. And as we look here, and we head back toward the La Valley Road, we were very surprised to see, we didn't think the water had come up this high, but look at the side. This would be on the east side of the old Fee Bridge Road here. Is all washed out. And question was whether it came up and over, which we doubt. It must have been back washing against here and further up. It just took this out. Water is a very, very tough thing. If you watch closely, you may see me fall. As we go up and over here, all these trees. This was always, I lived right here where Ron Trombley is, and I used to be on this bridge an awful lot. Used to ride my bicycle to go to school sometimes, and then I rode my bicycle on La Valley Road to go to church. And we used to wash our car just down here to the left. There was a great place. You could drive right out into the water to wash your car. A lot of people came there on Sundays to wash their cars. The road's been raised now, and you can't do it as easily if you can do it at all. Big muskies, a lot of black bass along this river that I used to fish, as well as sunfish. That's about it from the former Fee Bridge. And we're going to take off now, and I guess we're going to call it a day, Calvin. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow or later on. We're going to be going west of here.
A different show.
Different show. It'll be on a different show? Okay.